if somebody comes to us with a complaint and they say, my main complaint is this or that, we are always try to figure out what was the origin. Meaning we ask, how long do you have it? What preceded the development of these troubles? And we try to dig deeper into the case, into the history of the patient, to try to get more information about it. For instance, you have a case of eczema, and you ask, when did it start? And you get the information. It started some years ago. You ask more precisely how many years ago, and you get information about this. It started, let's say, 10 years ago, and you try to understand or you try to search about everything what happened at the time. So it could be a psychological thing. It could, let's say, it could be after grief. It could be after anger. It could be after suppressed emotions. It could be after shock or after, disappointment. But it can be also the result of some physiological agent like vaccination or mononucleosis or suppressed acute disease or whatever, right? And I will give you examples from my practice. I give you more examples for you to see what I mean by understanding a case. And we can take it as a quiz as well to learn something from it, okay? So let's say I'm your patient. We can play a game a little bit. Let's say I'm your patient now, okay? And my main complaint is depression. And you ask me about when did it start, and I'm able to identify the exact time about 5 to 6 years ago, or not precisely exact, but approximately 5 to 6 years ago. Now, you keep asking me what happened at that time, trying to find out something, right? And I will be more complicated case to not make it more difficult for you. So let's say you keep asking me about my psychological situation at the time, and I will tell you I have a happy marriage. I don't realize anything, any unhappy moment, any kind of psychological suffering 5 to 6 years ago, or even earlier. So I felt very balanced psychological until the point of 5 to 6 years ago when depression suddenly developed out of nowhere, but I cannot remember or recall anything that could trigger this kind of state. Let's say I'm not anthracinum case who is highly traumatized and don't remember the traumatic event, to make it more clear for you now and to save time, okay? So let's say I have no psychological issues in the past which could explain the depression to develop 5 to 6 years ago. Now tell me what you will ask for now.
I mean, my question would just be, well, what was happening in your life at that time?
Yeah. But if you ask like that, I would tell you I'm not aware of anything which could trigger this depression, because psychologically I was quite happy. I was quite happy person, and I have good family relationships. I have healthy children. I have everything a man can have. So I don't know and realize anything psychological which could trigger this. No.
I mean, I would dig in a little bit more. Like, did anything change for you at that time? You know, was there anything that was different for you at that time?
Okay, I understand. Okay, again, I don't remember anything
Again, no.
psychological which could possibly be responsible for this depression to develop.
Okay, so then if this were my client, the next thing I would ask is there any other time in your life that you have felt that way?
No. I know it sounds not real, but I want to play a game with you now a little bit to teach you something about two things: being open to all possibilities. It's the first thing, and the second is about understanding of the case. You need to understand the case. You need to be completely open to possibility that there was nothing psychological behind it. You have to be open to this. It's hard, but you have to be.
Yes, but I mean, when I'm asking the question, was anything different at that time, or what was going on in your life at that time? That's not necessarily a question about psychology. I'm also trying to get at like, what were the circumstances? Did you move house? Like, did you have, you got a new dog? You got, oh, I remember, oh, we had this like huge, sometimes people will say something like, oh, my air conditioning unit went out, they'll remember like,
Yes,
oh, we went
yes.
through this big thing, or, that's the question,
Yes, yes.
is to try to
But
pull out,
but it's very
did
tricky.
anything change?
Yeah. There is always, everything is keep changing constantly, and it's quite a dangerous place to be here, because we homeopaths sometimes tend to create theories, right?
Yes.
About possible causations. So, for instance, if you don't see the remedy, or if I don't see the remedy, I will tend to make a patient fit a certain picture. So they will tell me something happened, and this something can be something very insignificant, but because I don't understand the case, I would have a tendency to make it a causation, to make it a possible causation. You understand what I mean? So if something happens, let's say I had a new air condition at the time, you have to ask, did you perceive or did you observe any negative or positive, very strong effect upon you from this? And if I say no, I'm okay with air condition, I like it, I turn it on whenever I'm driving my car, that's very unlikely that this was the causation, okay? And the thing is to be open to all possibilities, meaning you have to be open to possibility that the air condition was not the thing, right? So you have to ask not to confirm a remedy since the beginning of the interview. You have to ask to understand. And that's it makes a great difference between two types of questions. Because if you ask to confirm a remedy, you have already pre-selected a group of remedies. And now you are at the stage of confirming one of them. Maybe
Yes.
you will rule them out, all of them. But once you reach the stage of asking about remedies, you are not unprejudiced anymore. And that's the point. If you thrive to really understand, you have to be empty in your mind regarding remedies. No pre-selection. You have to be open to the craziest possibilities you have never heard before, right? And that's the state of being unprejudiced. So, I will give you a little hint. You will ask me about my medical history, okay? And you will find out that I've been suffering from diarrhea for many, many years. Now, if you ask to understand and you are open to all possibilities, what your next question will be? You just find out. I was suffering from diarrhea for many years. So, if you don't think of remedies, you just want to understand it. Which possible scenarios are in the air now?
Then we must ask when this diarrhea have stopped.
Yes. Why? Why? Don't think of remedies, just why?
To
Why?
see if they are connected. If
Yes.
we have a suppressed
Of
depression,
course.
diarrhea, then the depression,
Of
so
course.
it's connected.
Of course, exactly. Because I said I had diarrhea in the past. I had, meaning it's in the past. But I have depression now, right? So if you are open to craziest scenario, that there is no psychological origin of the depression, one of these crazy scenarios is maybe it's a different form of a different physiological disease or problem. You have to be open to this. You will either confirm it or you will discard it. You will not confirm it, right? But you have to ask. And now let's say we are in real time. Now it's 2025. And you ask me, when did it stop? I'm thinking, you observe how long I'm thinking, what I'm doing, how do I responding. And then I will come with the answer finally, because I have to remember correctly when exactly did it stop. And I will tell you, it stopped probably in 2020 or 2019. Okay? So now you see the correlation between, I said to you, I have depression, I'm suffering from depression for the last 5 to 6 years. And now you get the information. My diarrhea stopped 5 to 6 years ago. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that's causal relationship between these two conditions. It doesn't mean it. You have to be very suspicious about it. You have to be open to both possibilities. There is relationship, and at the same time, there is no relationship altogether between these two conditions. You have to be open enough. And you have to be open even to both possibilities on the same way. Still understand? Now, I will, if you are open enough, what will be your next question? Now you know it was approximately at the same time. Diarrhea stopped approximately, not exactly, but approximately at the same time when the depression started. How you will ask further to find out if there is real relationship between these two. Alessia, have you ever had diarrhea and depression together? Or since depression started, you never had diarrhea again? That's it. That's it. You can formulate it in a different way. You may ask, do you remember or can you remember of having depression when having diarrhea? Meaning, we try to find out whether this person in this play, in this game, had depression at the stage of life while suffering diarrhea, chronic diarrhea. And then he comes with the answer, I don't realize of having depression while having diarrhea. So you ask more. So you realize of having depression, but not diarrhea at the same time. You know, we have to find out whether these conditions were together, or there was some period of time of having both together. Or once or there was only diarrhea and now there is only depression. Okay. Helena, I think Chelsea said the same thing. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Yes, because she said if there was overlap between.
Okay. So maybe my misunderstanding on my side. So sorry about it. So yeah, that's it. Now, if you know for sure that there was no depression while having diarrhea, and there has been no diarrhea while having depression, it means that these two conditions are in a certain relationship. It can be causal relationship, or it can be alternation of symptoms. You understand? It can be both. But from the homeopathic perspective, it doesn't make a difference. Alternation or causation, in this case, it's almost precisely the same thing. Because we have a remedy. Now you understand the depression, and now you understand what preceded, what was the precondition, how they are related to each other. And at the same time, you understand what is most peculiar. It's very peculiar because 1 out of 1,000 people will tell you this story, right? Most people will give you logical reasons while they suffering from depression, like grief or, disappointment or, unfulfilled dreams or ambitions, etc. This is usual source of depressions in predisposed people. But here you have diarrhea. So at this point, now you understand what is the core of the case. Now you understand what makes it very individualizing, what makes it peculiar. Now you see the pathology as a whole. Now you see the alteration from the healthy state. And now you know what makes it very peculiar, because you understand the relationship between diarrhea and depression, which is very, very uncommon. And now you are prepared to go for remedies. Okay? Now you know what you have to treat. Now you understand what's going to happen if you give a correct prescription, if you give a correct remedy. If you give a correct remedy, what will happen? Depression will goes away and diarrhea will reappear. And you will know that this is the correct course of treatment.